Ball is caught by Bellinger. What a catch!
With a world heavyweight title line in the balance. Counter.
You are now listening to Jocks and Geeks with J&P. Let's go.
Yo, welcome back. This is Jocks and Geeks with J&P. You can find us at J&P Podcast on Twitter. Once again, we're going to be covering from goalpost to goalpost to the ring post to the ring post. From the hardwood floor to the diamond. I'm one of the hosts. I'm the P in the J&P Podcast. My name is Patrick. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at AlienPStar88. The other host of this hard-hitting podcast is the J in the J&P Podcast. He goes by Julio. What's up, Julio?
Yo, P, baby. I am the J of the J&P Podcast. I am hashtag heel. We're going to go ahead and, like you said, get right into it. Cover everything from the gridiron to the diamond. That's right, throw it up. From the hardwood, season starting. And, of course, how could we not? Everybody's blowing up. The world's going crazy over what just happened in the wrestling world over the past 24 hours. So let's get right into it, P. Bring the show right in, baby.
All right. So, obviously, this weekend we had a pay-per-view. We had Hell in the Cell. But you know what? Before we jump into that disaster, let's start off with SmackDown. SmackDown moved to Friday Night Wrestling, which, you know, usually it's Friday Night Lights, but you know what? Fox is taking over wrestling on Friday. There's a couple things we want to talk about. One thing to start off the show is going to be The Rock coming out to SmackDown. The Rock came out, typical Rock way, a huge pop, crowd went crazy. I mean, how can you not love that? And then, of course, the man was already out there with Baron Corbin, and The Rock doing what he's doing. He's laying his liners, his ones and twos, hits the spot, bam. Now everybody calls Baron Corbin STD. What's your take on it?
I mean, like you said, he is the one and only the people's champion for a reason. He's the great one for a reason. Anybody in the ring with him is always going to get that rub. It's always going to come out better for it by being in the ring with The Rock. Quite frankly, was he needed? I don't know if he was really needed. It's Fox. It's a major network. We're introducing a brand new show. But you know what? We have The Rock there. We're going to go ahead and have him in the ring with Baron Corbin, with Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch doesn't need The Rock at this point. She's over. Everybody loves her. She's established. Now, Baron Corbin, on the other hand, obviously the guy can use the rub. I mean, people hate him. But he's actually really talented. You know, give the guy props because he does whatever is needed from him. What I got out of it is, once again, we discussed it in our first show a little bit. There's a little bit more what I got into it. You just said Rock dropping the one-liners, the two-liners, the phrases. You know, once again, you gotta, you know, when are you gonna introduce the new talent to the world? When are you gonna let them be themselves? Let King Baron Corbin be himself. Let Baron come out, trash The Rock. Why do we need the new generation? Why do they need to see The Rock? Granted, he's the great one, but why do they need to see him lay at the SmackDown and Baron Corbin? No, what should have happened is Baron Corbin should have just laid him out. He should have, you know, winds of change his ass. I mean, by, you know, lack of better words, he should have laid The Rock out. That would have been a more poetic picture, a more powerful one. And on top of that, he should have laid Becky Lynch out too, standing over both of them as he walks out of the ring.
You know, being the heels in this era is being a coward. That's the number one thing. That's what we're going to talk about, because heels aren't heels like back in the day. The heels got heat for doing stuff like that. I mean, Baron Corbin got a lot of heat for hitting the end of days on Becky when they had the intergender match with Lacey Evans and Seth Rollins. He hit the end of days on her, and, you know, if you're a fan, you're like, whoa, you can't be doing that. That's not WWE. But the thing is, when you look at it now, the heels are held back. Perfect example, Daniel Bryan. When he was trashing the crowd about, you know, Earth this, Earth that, you know, he was one of those guys that, you know, you hated because he was talking about that. Now, let's go ahead and bring it up to another point that we had. Kevin Owens, Shane McMahon. The match was it was a match that you expect out of them. They hate each other. You know, Kevin Owens should have been fired, and then he took money. Shane took money from his family and all that good stuff. When it comes down to it, we got what we wanted. Shane off the air, so you don't expect Shane to be on the air for a while now. Kevin Owens looking strong, winning, and keeping his job, and of course, the one line that every McMahon loves to say, "You're fired." Now, being all heels out there, like I said, there could be a way that Shane could actually get back in the story. But I think with this deal with Fox, I think they said, you know what, let's cut the reins with them. Let's not even bother with that. Now, you got
I
any
think
points about it?
absolutely great stuff. Now, the KO that I want to see, the KO that everybody wants to see, the KO that just came straight out of NXT a couple years ago, that force, that nasty ass a-hole that, just came out that first show and power bombed John Cena right on that apron. Boom. The KO that wasn't taking crap from anybody, the KO that was just coming out and just power bombing people left and right on that apron, the KO that knows he's better than everybody else, that knows that he ain't chiseled, that he ain't looking like 6'5" Adonis, like Bobby Lashley, like Brock. He knows it, that he's better than everybody in that ring. That's the KO that people want to see, and that's the KO that I want to see moving forward on that Fox SmackDown. If he stays on SmackDown, that's the KO that I want to see.
The true heel, the true heel that we all expect. Because I mean, honestly, when he was a heel out there, everyone loved it. Everyone enjoyed that story. I mean, obviously, when he turned face, people still got behind him because he was the underdog. But now at this point, what are we gonna do? I mean, Fox is gonna control what they want to see now. All right,
Now,
so go ahead.
I was gonna say, bringing up overall though, if just before, I don't know if you were gonna go ahead and already bring in the weekend's doings. I know you're dying to talk about the weekend's doings, but real quick, overall, just to wrap it up, if we're gonna wrap up the Fox and the SmackDown, overall, I thought it was a great debut show on Fox. I mean, you had obviously The Rock come back. After all, the show SmackDown is called because of The Rock. The Rock introduced that name. You had Becky Lynch. You had great things, Kofi, and we're forgetting to even hit on. I don't know if you were going to go into it or not, or if you were going to jump into the weekend's doings. But Cain Velasquez debuted, which I will give you some props. P Money right there on it. You did call it on our first show. You called Cain Velasquez being the one to come out and find retribution for Rey Mysterio. Es familia, as we like to say. So I'll give you that. P Money right on it.
I mean, that's actually the next thing I was gonna bring up. You know, Kofi Kingston's the type of guy. He's a workhorse. He's gonna work. He's gonna work. He's gonna put on good shows. He's not gonna. He's not gonna not be the workhorse he is. I mean, during his 180-day reign that he had, he defeated Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Randy Orton, and then Dolph Ziggler. I mean, out of those people, I mean, three of those, two of the three are top stars that they deserve a title reign. But they gave it to Kofi. They left it with them. But 6 seconds, come on, that's honestly ridiculous. 6 seconds for this guy giving you 180 days of solid matches. But like you said,
And I'm
it's
gonna stop you right there real quick. Now that, with all due respect to Kofi Kingston, my man, he is a workhorse. He's a, you know what? If I have a young boy, if I have a young 11-year-old boy, I want him to look up to Kofi Kingston. Great guy, right?
yeah, he's a
But
stand-up gentleman.
but I'm running a multi-billion company. Sorry, Kofi. I need the beast. I need the beast incarnate. I don't care how the job gets done. I don't care if the job gets done in 4 seconds, 4 minutes, or an hour. If all it took was an F5, 1, 2, 3, then I'm sorry, Kofi. Love you as an ambassador and as a role model, but as my champion on Fox, sorry, man. Give me the beast incarnate. Bring the pain. I need Brock. I need the mainstay. Brock brings you the cash. No disrespect to Kofi. Nobody wants to see Kofi as the champ on Fox. Maybe I get the hardcores with the whining and the dining, but you know what? Give me Brock, give me the Beast, give me Cain Velasquez, give me that. I want to see attraction. I want to see the Beast tear down limb from limb the entire roster, go through everybody. I want to see. Give me the Beast. I want to see the money.
Yeah. So I can understand because, like you said, the money's gonna be there. Cain Velasquez, Brock Lesnar, I understand that, but come on, Cain Velasquez hasn't even signed with the WWE, or it could be all a front stating that he hasn't been signed by WWE because he came out in an interview on Friday. He said, or it was either Friday or Saturday. He's basically saying, "No, I haven't signed yet. I haven't signed yet." So when you think of everything, it's a good time because you got MMA coming in and you got pro boxing coming in. Tyson Fury, Braun Strowman. So let's go ahead and touch a little bit on it because we're gonna go on because it carried over to Monday night.
So let's get right into it. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Obviously, I know you're dying to talk about this, P. So
Yeah.
Hell in the Cell is what everybody's talking about. The wrestling world is losing its crap over this. They are losing its mind over this. Overall, the disappointing part of this is that overall the matches were all great. Everything from Randy Orton versus Mustafa Ali to Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan versus Rowan and Harper. I mean, the quality of the matches were all great. And not to mention, of course, well, no, not to mention the Hell in a Cell match between the two women. They tore the show down. Let's give it up for Sasha and you know, and I'm not a Sasha guy, but I am a Charlotte. Woo! But they tore it down. Great match that they did. But before I'll give you my thoughts on the main event real quick because I know you're the man for this main event topic. I know you're dying to get into it.
Yes.
I'm usually the guy, it's not that I'm heel city, but I'm usually the guy that's going to defend Vince because after all, wrestling wouldn't be what it is without the mastermind. I know everybody's upset, everybody's pissed, but the way I see it is this is exactly what Vince wants. He wants everybody talking about it. He wants everybody upset because in the end, I got to give him the benefit of the doubt. I know that there is a big payoff coming from the ending, the disqualification, but in all honesty, even myself, I can't even defend that finish. That was by far the worst finish in Hell in the Cell that I can ever remember. So give everybody your thoughts because I know people are dying to hear what you think about that finish.
So sitting on the couch watching the match, I was excited for. I mean, I tweeted out from the uh
The show page.
yeah, from the show page. I tweeted out to several different people because we were talking about it, and I said if this was the case and the ref wanted to stop this match, they should have stopped it when he started bringing out the weapons. You know, you brought out you brought out ladders. You brought out chairs. He got the sledgehammer. Who cares? Who cares? This is Hell in the Cell. This is supposed to be all out war. It's supposed to be like that. Now you got fans upset, torn up about it because why? You stopped a match. You know what? It would have been perfect if they would have cut off the lights and then Seth's gone. Seth's gone, and there's the Fiend in the middle of the ring, and he's just laughing or doing what he's done, and that's it. Cut the show. Then you got people hung on like what happened to Seth, which in return, Monday night explains why Seth hasn't shown up. You would think that they would talk about it. A lot of people are just disappointed because it came out to it came out saying that he got disqualified. He got disqualified. And
They
then,
overthought the finish. They overthought the finish and they ruined it. They ruined the
yes.
finish by overthinking it because we're obviously not writers. We're obviously not WWE staff. And for me and you to come up with the finish, the proper finish that everybody wants to see, it doesn't take a genius. They overthought it. They ruined the finish. And on top of ruining the finish, they turned what should have been a really great show of Raw because of the other matches. And like you were telling me off air, this is the match that everybody wanted to see. People were hyped. People
Oh yeah.
wanted to see Bray Wyatt, The Fiend versus Seth Rollins. Obviously, by the reaction in the arena, people wanted to see The Fiend become the new champ.
Oh yeah.
And by them overthinking the finish and ruining it, that did nothing for either one of the two guys involved. As a matter of fact, it hurt the Fiend,
It hurt
Bray
the Fiend.
Wyatt, because it hurt him because obviously he's getting this monster push, no pun intended. And then this happens, and then when it comes to Seth Rollins, the guy is the babyface in the match, and it didn't
Yes.
do him any favors. The guy is getting booed as he's leaving the arena. The face of the match did nothing, but it didn't help him out.
It
And
hurt
what
both
you
of them.
said, it hurt him, hurt the show, which led right into tonight's Monday Night Raw. I have some very strong opinions about that show and how it started. Before I tell you what I think, because you know how I feel about that, I'm pissed. You go ahead and give me your observations they led into tonight.
So overall, honestly, it carried over. It carried over. People were booing. They were chanting AEW. They're doing all that stuff. Now, start of the show, you got some prerogative stuff going on. Once again, you got Lana, you got Bobby Lashley, you got Rusev. Obviously, this is going to be a match. We all know this is going to happen. But, I mean, do you think they're pushing the envelope? They could be. They want to get those ratings. But usually they do that raunchy stuff at the last hour. But to kick it off, that was, I think that was wrong. But, I mean, forgot to mention anything. The Kanuki Warriors, they won against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, which is not a surprise, but the way that they won the Green Mist, that's Tajiri all day. He used to pull that rabbit out of his hat all the time. And of course, like you said, Charlotte, she won. But Monday night was it was a night of answers, and we got one answer out of all the questions we had. They showed a video display for Seth Rollins and The Fiend, which nobody got the answers. Everyone booed, but we did get Braun. We did get Tyson. But before we continue that, we need to talk about the draft. Who do you want to see go to Raw, and who do you want go to SmackDown? Obviously, you being the heel, who do you want?
You know what? I want, as I just mentioned, I'm super high on this man. First of all, real quick thoughts from me as far as tonight's show goes. The garbage. The beginning of the show, straight garbage. I'm an adult man. We're adult men, and I get it that we are now going away from the PG era, which is what they needed to do. They quite frankly needed to do. That's fine, but the whole infidelity storyline is played out. Um, we don't need to do that anymore. It's 2019. I'm thinking we can be a little bit more creative and find a way for Rusev and Lashley to have a feud. Both guys are, super beast. I'm sure that we could find a creative way to have a feud other than involve the man's wife in a infidelity feud. Have the man jump into a bed with his wife as he's watching in the ring. Straight garbage. That was straight garbage. The rest of the show, I'm not really, because you asked me about the draft, I'm going to get right into it. But the rest of the show, real quick, nothing spectacular for me. The ending was pretty good with, like you said, Tyson Fury and Braun Strowman. Nice. Uh, but in my opinion, what stole the show, once again, I think the women are what stole the show. I think Charlotte and, I'm sorry, Becky Lynch and Charlotte, great back and forth bantering. So other than that, um, number one pick, in my opinion, give me Kevin Owens as my heel, my monster heel on Raw.
You know, with the buildup of Kevin Owens, he's staying on SmackDown. I'm sorry to say, but Baron Corbin, he's gonna be the heel for them. He's gonna be the heel for Raw because they have some kind of faith in him. I don't I don't know what kind of faith they have in him because I don't feel like he's a true heel. That that little character he had at NXT, the Lone Wolf, that was amazing. I enjoyed that. Like that dude was unbeatable. They brought him up to the main roster, shaved his head, gave him a little badge, and said, "Hey, you're the constable of Raw." Come on, dude. Like
You know what?
that was
You know what?
ridiculous.
I have a little dream for SmackDown. I have a little dream. My little dream is that we bring up the Velveteen Dream and call him up from NXT because you know what? Speaking of heels and guys that can really, push that envelope, give me a fresh face. Give me a fresh face. The Velveteen Dream is exactly what SmackDown needs. As far as Raw, you know what? Let's stop underutilizing the OC, the OGs. Give me the phenomenal AJ Styles. Put him on Raw. Give me Gallows and Anderson as a legit tag team on Raw. Let them tear through the tag team division on Raw. After all, they are the OC. They are the unspoken word club that we cannot speak of. If you know what I mean, you know that club. We need them on Raw. I need to see the phenomenal. Give me Daniel Bryan back on Raw. Give me shake it up. Leave the big dog over there on SmackDown. Leave the big dog. Take Seth Rollins. Reunite the Shield. I don't care. Give me the phenomenal. Give me Daniel Bryan. Let's change it around. SmackDown is the wrestling show. You got all the greats, the great wrestlers in the ring on SmackDown. Let's
Yeah.
change it around. Bring those guys over here, and take your stars to SmackDown.
I mean, obviously the thing is with this, and this is going to be something a lot of people are going to be thinking about once the draft starts, is Fox is going to want main attractions. They want people that's going to bring people into the show. I mean, they got 3.5 million on Friday night. I mean, that's usually a day when people go out, they go do stuff, but 3.5 million for the first episode of SmackDown. Obviously, they're not going to be able to repeat that because everybody was there to see Brock Lesnar, Kofi, see The Rock come back, to see Stone Cold that never showed up. I mean, I don't understand that. But when you think about Raw, you're gonna think about the main stars. It's always been like that. SmackDown's always been the B show, but now that they're giving them all this money, Fox is giving them all this money. Of course, they're gonna go ahead and cater to them because USA is not. I mean, they've had a contract with them forever. But when it comes down to it, with SmackDown and Raw, it's gonna be day and night. NXT is gonna be a show that they're always gonna have top tier wrestling, but nobody's gonna care about it. And
As of right now, as of right now, the reality is now we're talking about pure content, storylines in the ring, top to bottom. Raw is behind all the other shows right now. SmackDown is better than Raw. NXT is better than Raw, and then they fall into place. And here's the thing. Let's get right into it. We can't neglect it. We're talking about. I am looking forward to the draft. I'm curious to see where guys are gonna land, so we can get more into it. But obviously, last week was the debut of AEW, which we covered in our first show. Now rolling into week two as how they're gonna keep competing with the big dogs. No pun intended for Roman, but the way it is Vince. I know that I mean, there is no real threat. Let's be honest. No one's ever gonna take WWE out of its place. But Vince needs to be very careful the way he's gonna go ahead and go down this slope right now, only because you want to bring up veterans. Let me tell you who the veteran of veterans and the best champion in all of entire wrestling is right now. I am talking about Le Champion of AEW, Chris Jericho. Look no further. You want to see how a champion acts? You want to see how the heel of heels acts? Look no further than Chris Jericho. AEW, they need to be careful. I'm talking about WWE with Monday Night Raw and how they handle it, because if they produce trash shows like they did tonight, keep in mind, SmackDown is no longer on Tuesdays, like you said.
yeah.
You roll into Wednesday, and if you produce a trash show rolling into Wednesday as AEW, when you got John Moxley, Cody Rhodes, who people are hot over, Le Champion, the return of Jack Hager, when you got those storylines, you need to be careful, Monday Night Raw. You need to be careful.
No, yeah, I agree. I agree 100% because when it comes down to it, I mean, right now, if you want to include AEW in that, I mean, you got AEW, you got NXT, you got SmackDown, you got Raw. I mean, I understand all that, but the thing is that I don't feel like Raw is living up to the hype. And I think what's happening is that Paul Heyman is trying to bring back a dead horse, and that's ECW. You know, um, when it comes down to it, AEW they're fresh. They have a lot of younger talent, and they're not shoving down Jericho down our throat because that's their only old wrestler that actually has any kind of um,
Credibility.
yes, exactly, credibility. And when it comes down to it, you got guys like Darby Allin and Jimmy Havoc. They're gonna have their debut match, and that's gonna have some kind of what's the word? How can I say it? It's gonna have basically they're gonna be able to the winner gets to face Jericho on the Philadelphia episode of AEW. So it's the number one contender basically, and Jimmy Havoc and Darby Allin they're good wrestlers. When I watched that match with them two and Joey Janela, that was a really good match. It was a hardcore match. What do you expect out of these guys?
And then we're
But
talking about insights. You're mentioning these guys and these names. Uh, if you ask me, for my opinion, on one of the things that could help fix Raw, I'm gonna give you a name. I'm gonna throw out a name. The guy obviously is very underutilized. This guy single-handedly, when TNA was going out of business in its last year of existence, this man single-handedly, well, not EC3 yet, my friend. I'll go there. It's funny. He wasn't well with EC3. No, this man single-handedly basically kept TNA afloat that last year. Who I'm talking about, my friend, is I'm talking about Delete. Delete. I am talking about D1, version 1, Matt Hardy, Broken Matt. The guy, and I'm not talking about as in bringing him in to wrestle. I'm not talking about, having feuds in the ring. No, what I'm talking about, Matt Hardy is a genius when it comes to in-ring psychology, matches, putting matches together. This man, from what I've read, behind the scenes, from what I've been reading, he's actually in training to be a producer. He's traveling every show. He's, obviously working with some guys behind the stage. So I just think that they need to give Matt more creative freedom, because I think that's one way that and you mentioned it. You mentioned one of the guys. I hadn't even seen EC3, and I don't even know the last time I saw EC3. I saw him tonight pulling apart the guys, Braun Strowman and Tyson Fury. That guy is ultra talented. Could you not see the
yeah,
guy's talent on TNA? I mean, the
yeah,
guy, and then I mean, you have the guy here at your disposal, and you bring him in to do these kinds of things. I mean, Raw it's the A, like you said, Raw's always been the A show. You have the talent there. Use it. If these, the thing is, you want to go modernize, you want to go Hollywood, you're not Hollywood. What your bread and butter is, you have wrestling minds that work for you. Let them go to work for you. Let Matt Hardy write for you. Let, what's her name? I was gonna say not J and P, baby, that's who we are. J&J Security, Joy
yeah,
Mercury, who's no longer with the company. Let Jamie Noble, let those guys take over. Road Dogg left. Why did he leave? Same reasons, no creative over. And here's the bigger thing: if you really want to fix things, right now, because they're about to go to war, like you said last week on the first show, this will be a war. Vince is the GOAT, and I'm talking about the GOAT. Wrestling would never be without him. We all held to Vince what he's done. He's giving us the greatness that is wrestling, right?
yeah,
But even the greats at some point have to step aside. George Steinbrenner, passed away. Jerry Jones, cease power over to the boy. Now
he
here's the
will.
thing. You know who I'm talking about. You want to talk about great mind, you got to hand over the reins to the one and only the game, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. However
Yeah,
you want to call him, the King of Kings. That's one way to fix things up. Why they choose to continue, like, I just get, and Raw's been, as a kid, teenager, a man, whatever, Raw's been my show. This is the first time I'm admitting, and now we're admitting to the producer and the worldwide audience that we get, the millions and the millions of our fans, this was a trash show from top to
yeah.
bottom.
I honestly I can't agree anymore. I mean, Raw was nothing special. You had, I mean, besides the Tyson Fury and the Braun Strowman, there was nothing special about this episode. There really wasn't. Everyone's still salty about the whole Fiend and Rollins situation, and you could tell in the match. I mean, Lacey Evans and Natty, they put up a good match. Last Woman Standing, it was a great match. It was, but it was still you. It felt salty. You could tell the crowd wasn't really into it until they got that big pop with Tyson Fury and Braun Strowman. Now, obviously, we can go on and on about that, but the Wednesday Night War is coming up. We both are excited for it. It's going to be the second battle. WWE put out, I mean, I don't know if this is true or not, but I've read over online that WWE congratulated AEW. You don't do that in war. You really don't. You have to say, you know what? Pretend they're not even there and keep going. Now, there's rumors going around that NXT is going to be a traveling show. Why? If you compare AEW to NXT, it looked like a minor league to a major league. The stadium looked so much, I mean, it looked packed in AEW, and you look at NXT and it barely held what, 300 people at Full Sail? Of course, people are going to be more excited about AEW than you are about NXT because of that one reason is it's a minor league show. If you
I
want to
wouldn't call it
compete,
minor league. I wouldn't call it minor league. The reason I say that
we
is because
I mean,
what I was gonna say, the
as
same people that watch AEW are the same people that, let's keep in mind, those are the people that were they were the ones watching NXT before they were watching AEW. These are the hardcores of the hardcores. Now, when we talk about the NXT fans, now we're talking about the hardcore of the hardcore. You got Jimmy Blow who watches Monday Night Raw, because that's your casual. Of course you got your diehards that watch everything, but Jimmy Blow is who watches, Monday Night Raw. Okay, and then you're gonna now that it's on Fox, then you're gonna have many more Jimmy Blows that watch because Fox is obviously a major network. Your hardcores are watching AEW and they're watching NXT, okay? Because to us, the hardcores, okay, who's our tag team? We don't give a crap about, Roman Reigns and, Danny Bryan. Even Danny was, shout out, is one of the best. But we care about, in our opinion, who's the best tag team in the business? That is right, the Young Bucks. It's Nick and Matt, Too Sweet all day. Here's the thing, Cody, you got the American Nightmare, you got John freaking Moxley, you
yep.
got as we discussed this on the first show. What was weird, I don't know how you felt about this, but one little observation I got about tonight is you have the King calling Raw, right?
Yeah.
You have I'm
JR.
sorry, you have JR calling AEW. They never think that would be, they would be calling separate shows, but you have JR calling, AEW, which already you have the sound. You already have the sound bite of wrestling.
Yep.
Anybody who's a hardcore associates Jim Ross with anything wrestling related. Okay,
Stone Cold.
exactly. So my thing about AEW is I'm excited for a lot of different reasons. You're bringing in big names. Don't get it misconstrued about one thing. Their big off-season acquisition. Keep in mind, this man, a huge name, as we brought up Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. The Shield is one of the biggest factions in the last 20 years. We're talking about the Shield being actually longer now. We're talking about the Shield being up there in the lights of the Four Horsemen. We're talking about them being up there with the NWO Life. We're talking about, D-Generation X, Evolution. Shield is top 5 of all time. You got
Yeah.
Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and their leader, aka Dean Ambrose, now John Moxley. That's their huge pickup. Don't get that mixed up. That is a huge pickup. This isn't signing Macho Man at the end of his career. This is signing a free agent at the prime of his career.
Yeah, but I mean, I to tell you the truth, Dean Ambrose, when he was in WWE, he was a circus act. I mean, he did whatever Vince told him. I understand You know, you got to listen to your boss. I completely understand that. But I wouldn't take it as far. I mean, it's huge because he's a name. He's a well-known name to the WWE fans, Dean Ambrose. But now as John Moxley, nobody knows how John Moxley works. Nobody actually understands when he was in the Indies, this dude was doing hardcore matches after hardcore matches. I mean, he's getting paid by WWE to do little circus acts, and it's not him. And I understand why he can be uncomfortable, but when you have the two top stars of that faction, the Shield, which is Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, they should be milking them, but they're not. Dean Ambrose was an afterthought. And it's sad to say because he is a great wrestler, but Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, they should be pushing to get better matches and better matches. Seth Rollins had a match with The Fiend, which everyone was expecting and loved, but the ending. That's what, like we were talking about earlier, it threw both of them off. It's pushing The Fiend back. I mean, basically made it seem like the Fiend was unstoppable. And you know what? Honestly, who's gonna beat that? Who's gonna beat the Fiend like that? But when it comes down to established stars and stuff like that, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, they need to have a battle. They need to have that battle, a great match. When it comes to AEW, you're starting it fresh. This is a new show. You're starting with great wrestlers that nobody's heard of, but they're starting to pick them up. You know, they're starting to pick them up.
They
And
never, they, just to piggyback on a couple of things you say before you go to topic, only because it came to me. I never thought I'd be saying this, but I think we need the big dog, man. I think we need more of the big dog and high profile feuds. He went from getting the John Cena treatment from being up here in every single segment, every single big match, and he was getting booed because obviously, again, the John Cena treatment as far as like you're shoving him down our throats, enough
yeah,
with Roman, but then of course, hey, things happen, and unfortunately for him, he had that leukemia cancer scare. Real life happens. He stepped away from the game for almost a year, whatever it was, comes back. And it took, unfortunately for that poor dude, it took a life threatening, disease, cancer, for people to come back and realize, hey, you know what, this dude is legit. He's actually
we
one
missed
of
him.
the guys that, he's a workhorse. His matches are great. The guy. So with that being said, I'm gonna heal it up for a little bit once again, peeps. Once again, I'm gonna heal it up. You did hit something that I like. I do think that we do need to get Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns involved, but this time around, I think we need to change it up. Now, people, it's the other way around. Now, people, not because of his fault, in all honesty, but now people are getting tired of Seth. Okay, and it's
Yeah.
not even his fault. It's not even his fault. But to change it up and heal it up a little bit, what I would do, Vince comes knocking to me and says, "Yo, Jay, DJ, Don Julio, Jay Money, what can we do with this feud? Roman, Seth." Here's what I do. I tell you one thing. I think that Roman never got retribution from Plan B when Seth Rollins turned his back on the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I do, I'd have them, I have Roman come out, whenever he's getting attacked by the Fiend, whatever the case is going on, being down, he comes out here, he saves his brother in arms. They, whatever, they come out, the explanation, they're talking, whatever, and all of a sudden you just see Roman, boom, low blow him, pick him up, chokes him, spear him, anything, turns back, chair shots, talks to him, gets a microphone, stands over him, just goes, you know what, Rollins? Don't forget who made you. Don't forget who made this group. Don't forget who made the Shield. I'm the big dog. I'm the draw. And if you want to talk about Plan B, my ass. I'm always been Plan A. I am the A player. Boom.
See, and honestly, I like that, but I would rather have Seth as a heel. You know why? One thing. He can say, you know what? I don't know. We'll say Roman's getting jumped by the Fiend. Seth comes out and helps. After that happens, The Fiend's gone. It's Roman and them, and then all of a sudden he hits him with the chair again and says, "You know what? The only reason why I saved you is because the other guy took his ball and left." Boom! You take a cut at AEW, you take a cut at Dean Ambrose, and you turn Seth heel again, which everyone hated him. I'd rather get a boo because you're a heel than a boo if you're a face. And that's what Seth's getting right now. And you know what? Turn around, look at the crowd, and say, you know what? I was bleeding while the Fiend was jacking me up, and you guys want to boo me? That's the reason why I should care about myself. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. I love that view because, one, you're going to put over Roman. Two, Seth turns out to be a heel again, which everybody loves him as a heel. He's slimy. He's what's the word? He's I forgot it. But he's not the perfect face that you have. When you have him as a face, you gotta have the three amigos, Dean, Roman, Seth. Other than that, you can't have him as a face. You really can't. So now about this, okay, so obviously we covered everything from AEW to WWE, NXT, SmackDown, Raw. Anything else you want to go over before?
So you know what? I think from here on out, it's definitely going to get interesting. The fireworks are coming, so buckle in. We as fans, keep in mind, we are fans, otherwise we wouldn't be doing this show. So just like everybody out there, speaking of the fans of the show, of wrestling, our wrestling community, worldwide, we're all in it. We're all geeks, what we watch. We're all jocks and geeks, what we watch. So me personally, top 3 reasons that I'm excited for the fall season. I'm excited for SmackDown on Fox. I'm excited for the draft on Friday. And I am very, very excited for the Wednesday night war about to happen with AEW and NXT. So, P Money, give me a little bit of thoughts on what you're excited about. Give me some thoughts for the final of the show.
So, I'm excited for a couple things. One, I'm excited, of course, for SmackDown, AEW, NXT. But I'm also excited to see what their response to The Fiend and Seth Rollins. Maybe they're keeping them off the air so they can move into SmackDown. But once again, we don't know. Now at this point, we got to end the show. But before we do that, we want the fans, everyone out there, to go and send us questions. I mean, please. I mean, I don't want to beg, but we want to answer your questions on the air.
We'll beg if we have to.
If we have to. If you want him to curb stomp me, we can do it. We can make this happen. He's a heel. He'll do it for the fans. But on the real, though, we want to go ahead and ask you guys, send us questions. We want to answer them. If you have anything, let us know, and we'll talk about it on air. We'll give you a shout out. Last week, we had Xavier Estrada. He was one of our first fans. He's a subscriber to our YouTube channel. As of right now, it's on just YouTube. But give it probably on the next wrestling podcast. We'll have it on Spotify. We'll have it on iTunes. So you can take it on the road and you can enjoy it while you're at work or you're on the drive home.
Because so hit us up on the Q&A.
Yes, hit us up and we'll answer any questions you have. Once again, this is J&P, Jocks and Geeks with J&P. You can find the actual, what is it?
The J&P podcast, baby. J&P podcast. Follow us on Twitter. I am that man myself as well. Like Patrick said, I am J Money. Huge shout out to everybody out there listening to us. Follow us, subscribe to us. Just go ahead and like us because plain and simple, we're going to go ahead and make it, and all of you are coming with us. And like always, after every show, no show is possible for us without Andy the Great, our producer.
Yes, sir. And you can find me at AlienPStar88 on both Twitter and on Instagram. And on top of that, you can see my collection I have up here of my Funko Pops. I have pictures of them dedicated on that page. So if you want to take a look, give them likes. Hey, the more the merrier. I appreciate it.
As a matter of fact, what we're going to do, you heard it from me, because it ain't my money, it's Pat's money, and I'll blow all of Pat's money. So as a matter of fact, what we're going to do, coming up, you send us, I tell you what, best question that we answer on air by the fan, we are gonna send a pop. We're gonna send you a pop from the show. Boom.
Yes, I'll do it. I'll give y'all one of my pops. I'm not gonna say which one. I'll just, you know what? I got a wrestling one I can give you guys. So, best question gets a free pop, a wrestling WWE pop, or hey, might be a 2-pack of the Young Bucks. Give us those questions. We'll answer them. Appreciate it. You know, catch us on the next episode. Peace.